Hi, my name is Jennifer Penrose, owner of Penrose Physical Therapy, and I wanted to talk to you today about the best core exercises for low back pain. Patients are often told by their doctor that strengthening their core would really help with their low back pain, which is true. Patients often think that core means only abdominal exercises, and really the core is your abdominal muscles and your low back muscles. And so, if you've had pain trying to do abdominal exercises, then what that tells you is a couple of things. One, the abdominal exercise you're trying to do could be too difficult and placing more strain on your low back, that your low back muscles are just too weak for that particular level of exercise. Two, you could be overcompensating with the low back. And three is the form. So a lot of times when people do abdominal exercises, especially when you're having to lift the legs off the mat, if you're laying on your back and moving the legs in different ways, people often hyperextend their back away from the mat, so kind of arching it away from the mat. And this can create some hinging and extra motion in the spine that you don't want while you're doing those core exercises. Thus, the term core stabilization. You're trying to keep that spine really stable while you're working the abdominals and the low back. And even when you do on hands and knees, alternating arm and leg movements, you're really trying to isolate that movement in the leg at the hip and not have the low back hinge around. It's very stable. So sometimes it can just be a matter of tweaking your core exercise routine so that you move correctly and not increase strain at the low back, especially at the discs. I get a question a lot of times about sit-ups, and sit-ups aren't necessarily bad if you can do them correctly and have enough strength in the low back to handle that load. Oftentimes I just need to modify the amount of motion you're going through for the sit-up so that the spine is not at risk for further injury on its discs. So if you need some more guidance on your routine, if it's creating pain, we'd be happy to help. There is one exercise that you could try where you're on your back and your legs are bent, and you put a ball between the knees, and you're going to lift your feet off the ground. So you're kind of at a 90-90 with your legs, and you're squeezing the ball, and then you're trying to lower your legs, where your feet will eventually touch the floor without moving your back at all. So the back or pelvis stays glued to the mat. You don't want to bear down really hard, but you want to keep that spine real straight and stable so it's not arching up and down while you're moving your legs down to the mat. So squeezing the yoga block or a ball between your knees just helps you activate the core a little bit better. And then you would just try to slowly lower those legs down to the mat and then hold there. Take a couple deep breaths, and then to make sure you're not holding your breath and bearing down, and then bringing the legs back up. And you would try to do that. You should find that works your core pretty intensely, but it shouldn't hurt. So again, if it does, and you might need some fine tuning of that, or that exercise might be actually too hard for a starting point, and for some people that might be the case. So happy to help. Definitely send me your questions, and I have a free back pain tips report on my website if that would also be helpful for you. But happy to help. Thanks.